Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me in the after lunch waking up everybody slot. So I'll try to be witty and fun. I'm going to try to give you a bit of a reality check on all the hype around social TV. We've heard a lot of very exciting presentation this morning. We're very excited at ENDEMOL, don't get me wrong, but as you'll see, our reality is that it's not yet the second coming of television. And the whole debate this morning, my friend Doug was on this stage saying the second screen is now the first screen, vice versa. We've been having a debate like this for quite some time, and not surprisingly, our position is that the TV still remains the main drag of viewers' eyeballs and the main traction to get the people to come on board. The reason why we're excited is for all the reasons you know. The Facebook nation is the third nation in the world, 900 million people and growing. An amazing market cap that keeps fluctuating every week or every day. But so huge numbers of folks, and for a company like ENDEMOL, which is in 31 markets around the world, clearly ensuring that we address this third largest country in the world is quite critical, and we're trying to find ways to get it done. Now, you've heard all the stats, you've seen all the information around the rise of smart devices, the 64 million tablets, I think, and counting being sold so far, and how do we address them? What I wanted to talk to you about was actually this, which is, and there is, if you haven't seen this, I advise you to go on YouTube and check it out. Type iPad magazine broken, and you'll see this video, which we're not gonna look on, which of this little baby who's a year and a half old. She's having a great time on her iPad. When she pushes things and touches things, stuff happens, but then she goes to a regular magazine and nothing happens, and she gets really frustrated. You'll see towards the end, she's thrown the thing out. So the question here is, at some point or another, we're gonna have to figure out how do we talk to these people. These kids are being rewired, and their operating system is being changed every day to incorporate these type of things that the TV world doesn't. The reality today is this. It's a bunch of statistics that all of you have seen. One of the statistics we're the most proud of is the one in the middle, which is at the bottom in the middle, which is the number of fans for Mr. Bean. It should be actually 22 million. We passed the 22 million mark over the weekend. 22 million fans, just to put it in context, is as many fans as all the US TV networks fans, plus all the UK TV networks fans put together. So the challenge for us is how do we talk to these people? It's a show that hasn't been produced in quite some time, as you or Mr. Bean fans know. How do we maintain the fan base? How do we excite them? How do we engage with them? And what you'll see really is, what I'll be talking about today is a lot about engagement. You've seen the same tracks, the same stats all over the place. You see a lot of different companies coming up showing all kind of cool graphs about how there's a peak of excitement and a peak of usage of devices around the watershed hours or the primetime hours between 8 and 10. People clearly are using their device in front of the TV. The question is, what do they do with them? Well, our view is that TV used to be a social experience way back when. When it first started in the 50s, everybody was gathering on this weird box and sharing something together. Then little by little, it became some type of an anti-social event where actually people were in front of the television watching television, but they were doing something else. They were reading the newspaper, talking to a friend on the telephone. Yeah, you remember the telephone, that old land-based thing that we used a few years ago, and so forth and so on. Now, it's interesting. It's pretty much the same behaviors. The only difference is now we're able to measure them. So the question for us is, how do we ensure that we capture these eyeballs and engage them? What we've been doing at ENDEMOL is working around this graph, which is kind of our internal commercial philosophy of fan engagement and fan retention. So you have the fans at the center, generated by the TV shows, and we have a slew of experiences to really ensure that we transform the viewers into fans that are present in the database, and from there we can actually start marketing them some products and start generating an ROI around all of this. Because we're not, as you can imagine, we're not a not-for-profit company. We actually try to have an ROI on all these different experiences. And we believe that ensuring that the line at the bottom here, the scale game, the lottery game, and so forth, will be a great way for us to have some type of a return on the major investment we're making. What have been our experience? We've been lucky enough to work on 2 of the most interactive shows that have come to television in the past few years. The one on the left is the Melon Pound Drop in the UK, known internationally as the Money Drop. We've done it in 34 markets, I think, to date, and in 12 of those markets, we've been running a play-along game that allows you to actually participate and play alongside the folks on the stage. Wonderful, really exciting. The reality is that the peak of participation is about 15%. When you have 20 million people participating, 15% is 3 million. That's a big audience. But in some small markets, let's say Malaysia, which by default is a lot smaller, and I don't want to offend anybody from Malaysia in this room, which is maybe a 300,000 market audience, 15% of 300,000 is not really a relevant audience for us to market directly. So the questions coming from that are quite critical in terms of having the ability to really generate enough excitement around the property to maximize the ROI around the show. Our key findings, well, so far we don't need to be a moneymaker because we have found other ways to do it, such as list management and using this as a way to funnel viewers and funnel fans towards other for-profit ventures. Live works better. It's no surprise when the show is live, as it's in the case in a few of these markets I just mentioned, the participation doubles or triples. Clearly, people want to have the ability to get some type of feedback on the screen. The pace is critical, as this presentation attests. It's really, really hard to get people excited. But more importantly, if you are watching this conference and if I was throwing you a second screen experience, you would be constantly fighting between what's on the screen and what the device is pushing. And we're trying to figure that out. How do we actually ensure that the eyes don't go too far away from the first screen, and how do we ensure that what's coming on the second screen on these devices, what the device is actually quite relevant for the experience? Well, social has to be social. If I can't tell what my friends are doing at the same time, it's not really exciting. It's just another device doing something. So the social pipeline is dramatic. Feedback on the screen is critical in most markets. For those of you who have seen the show, you've seen that there's a fair amount of chyrons coming back up, and finally the user experience will be critical. I'm going to pass on this because I'm seeing Gavin come and kick me off stage. The thing I want you to talk to you about, these 4 quick findings and one final thought to leave you with. The first one is huge amount of hype in the space. If you haven't seen it, there's a website called Lost Remote. I invite you to check out that lists the 85 companies and counting that are working on the space. A lot of things. We are being bombarded every day by offers from different companies, and we welcome them. But it's quite difficult to figure out who to partner with and how to do this. Second finding, and I'm going to quote Kate Buckley, who might be in the room today from Broadcast, we have an app bug. Our friends at BBC Worldwide so far have done about 200 apps. We've done a fair amount. I have way too many apps on my iPad. How do we cut the clutter between ZBox and a show-specific app or a broadcaster's app? That's going to be the challenge for us. We need to work on an open source solution, too many different standards, way too complicated. 95% of the people in my company don't know what an API is. Granted, I'll educate them, but I think it's for everybody to get closer to what we do if we want to be successful. And then finally, let's not kill the goose with the golden eggs before it lays. So you've heard about all the technology around ad skipping. I just want to remind everybody that ads today are what pays the bills for a lot of a massive part of our industry. And the final thought is this, which is if we want this to be the second coming and really be relevant, we need to find a balance between the developers of the apps, of the technology, between the producers, people like us, between our partners, the broadcasters who are showcasing the shows, and between the brands partners, the advertisers who are in there. If we don't find that balance, and if one of these companies doesn't see an ROI here, we're going to be in trouble, and I think the stool is going to break, and the whole thing is going to fall apart. With that, I thank you, and I invite you to engage in a debate using my hashtag, or my tweet. Thank you.
There you go. Let's just move over here and get some. Thanks very much, Olivier. Let's ask a few questions. Excellent job. Right to time. Excellent. I've got a minute and a half for questions. Are there any questions out there for Olivier from ENDEMOL? Well, that was great. All right. You are sort of a visionary guy. You're always talking about this stuff. I mean, I've known you a while, and we always have great discussions. Do you want to just tell people out there, I mean, we've got some publishing people here, we've got broadcasts, we've got games. We're starting to see the convergence happening. What are some of the most important things that you think they should be thinking about as they move forward? We saw your 4 sort of thing breakdown, but what are some of the trends that maybe, you know, you talked about lost remote, but some of the things that you're seeing that you would want to impart onto people like that?
I think the real thing that everybody should think about is the experience. What do we want people at home to be doing? And you have a lot of different things being thrown at.
Now, when you say at home, do you mean people using their devices or actually sitting at home in front of the TV?
Well, both people sitting in front of the TV and as well as people in bars engaging with the TV screen and what we're showcasing on this. We need to think about the experience, what it represents, what folks are doing, how they're interacting with what's being thrown at them. Because at the end of the day, they will vote with their iPad or their wallet.
Why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long to I mean, we have these internet TVs. We all are able to connect our TVs to them. It's been around for 2 or 3 years. Yet people still aren't making that leap. What do you think the problem is there? The content's there. You guys have got great content. There's lots of content on the screen. Why are we not making this big leap as quickly as we'd anticipated?
Because it's complicated. Because I think we need to do a better job educating the marketplace. You know, you see the peaks of participation that we have, 15%, and we are constantly rehashing, go online, go this, go do that. So it takes time for people at home to change behaviors. They were used to, you know, reading a newspaper and talking to grandma on the phone while watching something else. Now they have to do something else, talk to their friends. I think we inherently social beings. So these devices allow us to kind of recreate, you know, the caveman around the fire concept. Yeah. And we're able to share something, which is good. But it's going to take time. It's new behaviors, and we need to be patient. And more importantly, we can't hype ourselves up to death. Otherwise, we're going to, you know, I think Mark this morning on the trender, had a beautiful chart that showed the hype going down and then a slow ramp back up. I generally believe this. We want to make sure we never get to the top of that spike. Otherwise, we're going to be in big trouble.
Thank you very much. Big round of applause for Olivier. Thanks a lot.